Hi, Assalamualaikum. So here I will introduce to you a bit about the banker's acceptance. It is one of the short-term financial instrument and it has maturity period from 30 days up to 180 days. And it is one of the financial instrument that have the shortest maturity period compared to the other financial instrument in the Malaysian government securities. Bankers acceptance act as a promised future payment from a bank institution, and the application procedure for this instrument is by numerous credit and collateral check.
For bank acceptance, there are three parties involved, such as exporter, importer, and importer bank. The exporter is a producer who sells goods to generate profit. After the agreement between exporter and importer, goods will be transferred. The exporter no need to worry because banker acceptance is secure against counterparty risk and importer bank guarantee the payment. The importer is a buyer who buy goods in large amount of money and issue banker acceptance to the importer bank by convinced to pay back in the future. For the importer bank is a bank that needs to verify and check all the details in banker acceptance that has been issued. After they verify, the obligation and risk is transferred to the importer bank. Two options for importer bank: either keep until the matures or put up for sales on a second market with reduced price to provide investor with a short-term investment that is generally safe.
Banker's acceptance is something that looks like a piece of paper that is also known as bills of exchange. It is usually used as an assurance for two companies, firms, or organizations that want to do some kind of business together. In other words, a banker's acceptance is an assurance for both sides. For example, for a clear view of these instruments, it is a guarantee checks that are considered as a secure payment of both sides of the transaction. It is also a common payment instrument that is used in international trade transactions, where the importer will look to make a transaction from another exporter in other countries. Bankers' acceptance is also the most regularly being used in global trade to complete transactions with relatively lower risk to either party. Bankers' acceptance is also one of the instruments that have a shortest maturity period that stand between 90 days to 180 days compared to other instruments. To sum up the reason for the bankers' acceptance issuance, it is to give both sides that are involved in the international transaction the assurance, or in other words is guaranteed of the payment made by both importer and exporter. It is also proof of the transaction's payment for the both sides of the buyer and seller.
As for its characteristics, the first one is creditworthiness. The banker's acceptance is issued against the party's creditworthiness. The bank receives a commission for facilitating such trade, which will lead to bank's profit in the successful execution of the contract. Next, marketability. It is a short-term debt instrument that can be traded in the market. In such case, the liability to pay for the debt is transferred to an altogether third party. Other than that, easy conversion is also one of the characteristics for bankers' acceptance. Bankers' acceptance is known for its easy conversion from instrument to real hand money. In addition, it is said to have a higher liquidity since the amount is passed from the bank's holder's account to the debit account at the time of the instrument's creation. From this, we can say that there is a confirmation of liquidity with lower risk. Lastly, good credit history. Bankers' acceptance is only available for customers with good credit history, and such customers are usually corporate entities with good credit history. Such creditworthiness is also linked to the investment in bonds.
Next, the tenure for bankers' acceptance is a commercial bank bill of exchange that requires the bank to pay the holder of the instrument at a specified amount on a specified date, which is typically between 90 days from the date of the issues, but can range from day 1 to 180 days or 6 months. The banker's acceptance is issued at a discount and paid in full when it becomes due. The difference between the value at maturity and the value when issued is the interest. If the banker's acceptance is presented for payment before the due date, then the amount paid is less by the amount of the interest that would have been earned if held to maturity. For a further explanation, the addition of banker's acceptance tenure or the change for new banker's acceptance using the commercial or financial document is illegal and cannot be allowed.
Next, something must have its own advantages and disadvantages. So, now I will tell you about the pros and cons of banker acceptance. Pros for banker acceptance. Banker acceptance is that they are supported by financial institutions protected against default. This provides the vendor with payment assurance, the possibility to buy quickly without having to worry about making advance payment is provided to buyers in the meanwhile. And for cons, no bank will offer up the credit without digging deep into a company past. The bank you have been choose will never make any deal with you until they check you through and